hear and see us well? First of all, if yes, would be great if you could send a quick message in our chat, because we will also use this chat today for your questions. Thanks already. I see thumbs up. That's nice. Great. So today we will talk about Q4 readiness. The fourth quarter is always the most important for selling on Amazon, and we are happy to share our insights about catalog optimization, advertising, and more topics. First of all, for today, this is a webinar. It will also be recorded. If you have questions, we cannot hear you, but please, I already see a lot of messages in the chat, which is super nice. Please use the chat. We try to pick up as many questions as possible, and also, if feasible, answer them directly verbally, because this makes it a bit more interactive. We have now 1.5 hours to speak about certain topics, but it's always nice to pick up your questions and to have some interactivity, not that Moritz and me will only present. So that's for today. And the disclaimer is also, please do not share personal information, your personal token or anything like this, just general questions.
Exactly. And so that you know who you are talking to, we'd like to introduce ourselves on the next slide. So we are the facilitators today. My name is Moritz, and I'm a marketplace consultant in the German-based exports team. We are covering all European marketplaces and manage mainly European-based sellers, but also sellers, for example, from the US, from Asia, from Brazil, that are already selling on Amazon. They are growing and they want to keep expanding their business, and we support them on very different levers. And I started working for Amazon in 2020. So I have some tenure already, and I'm happy to share my knowledge and experience today with you, with South African sellers.
Thank you, Moritz. Then also welcome from my side. My name is Marius. I started 1 month later than Moritz, so I'm also more than 5 years with Amazon already. Started as a marketplace consultant in the strategic account service team in Germany. That means we work with selling partners, support them on growing their business on the, at that time it was mainly the German marketplace, but I also switched to the export team, and now we support sellers from mainly all over Europe to grow their business. Yes.
Perfect. Today we want to have a look at the following agenda. For us, the most important part in Q4 is make the catalog ready, have it optimized so that sellers are successful and customers have a great customer experience. They find what they are searching for. They have the information to make a valid purchase decision. And of course, then it's relevant to ship the products to the customer, where we give some insights into FBA and MFN. And then Marius will take over for some insights on promotion, how to delight customers with attractive deals, followed by how to increase visibility with advertising to really boost sales. And then in the end, we will give a short outlook how to monitor performance across these different levers.
Exactly. And then also on the next slide, what is the purpose of the workshop today? Of course, understanding the importance of Q4 for your business, for selling on Amazon, learning how to apply most relevant tools in Seller Central, why catalog optimization is so important. It's always the beginning, how to run deals, how to fulfill your products the right way. So everything to optimize your business during Q4. And of course, we should never forget about monitoring your performance. It's important that you really know maybe also how to escalate, where to escalate, how you can monitor your performance as everything is going well, especially during Q4. That's super relevant to maintain your account healthy.
Exactly. So let's start with catalog optimization, as this is usually the foundation of the success. We will cover a lot of topics that are related to the product detail page, starting top down from the product title over the images and videos to the bullet points, A+ content. By this, we jump right into an example. And we always try to recommend to our sellers to focus really top down from the first attribute, which is usually the product title, and then optimize the content accordingly. So focus then on product images, create variations, for example, use the bullet points, the product description, and the pricing. And of course, the quality and completeness of the attributes in general has an impact first on the item's discoverability, second, of course, on the customer experience, and third, on your sales performance. Because if there are incomplete information, if the quality of the product detail page is not great, you won't succeed and you won't sell well. So if we manage to create a great product detail page, we are usually able to succeed. And of course, we have to keep in mind some features, some requirements can vary by product category. It's not a one-fits-all approach. And of course, we are well aware that there's a difference between brand owners and resellers. And of course, we always try to provide information that apply to each and everyone. And also for resellers, you can always use the case feature in Seller Central to add recommendations, to report any incorrect information. So for example, if a color is incorrect, if a size attribute is incorrect, you can report that, and the seller support team will check that. Sometimes they are able to execute the changes themselves. Sometimes they forward the information to the actual brand owner to update this incorrect attribute. Looking at the product title, it's super important because the product title is usually the first information that the seller is adding and the customer is engaging with. So you should always keep it very clean and crisp. Start with the brand name so that customers have or are able to identify your branded products. It's not allowed and not recommended to use any promotional phrases, free shipping, for example, sale, bestseller, and you shouldn't use redundant information. On the right side, we have two examples of respectively each three good listings on the left side, where we see a very crisp and clean product title from the garden category. And on the right side, we see some toolkits which have a very long product title, so it's hard to read. And especially if we are thinking about the mobile experience, because more and more customers are browsing on their smartphone. And we should really consider a mobile optimization here, starting with the product title, which means keeping it very short and crisp, using not more than 80 characters, because 80 characters are displayed on the mobile smartphone version. We see it on the right side. So the information is cut. It's not displaying the full product title. And if you have relevant information in the back of the product title, it's not displayed. So it's really recommended to use the front part for the most important, most relevant product attributes. That could be the dimension, the color, the quantity, and really make best use of the space that you have. Use abbreviations, and again, try to avoid redundant information. We see it here for the toolkit. It's rather, a number of keywords that are used. It's redundant information in terms such as girls, ladies, women. This is not relevant and doesn't help the customer make a good decision. So you could use the space in a better way, in a more crisp way, in a cleaner way. I think it's important and relevant how you can identify such listings that have a high mobile share, because we have this information available in your Seller Central business reports. Many sellers don't know about it and are not aware of this information, which is super helpful and critical for optimizing content for mobile users. So if you go to the business reports, you can add additional columns. So in this case, it's super relevant to add the attributes session browser and sessions mobile app to really identify listings that have a high mobile app session share. And on the right side, we have an example. So you can see that I think 2/3 of users browse via the mobile app for a Samsung Galaxy smartphone. So this is super crucial to optimize the content. And then you can also download your inventory reports if you're a brand owner or you have created the listing. Input that into an Excel or any other similar tool to identify listings with a long product title. And then you can really prioritize those listings, optimize the content, shorten the length of the product title, and really optimize it for our mobile users. So in general, just to engage with you during the session, if you have any questions, if any comments, just put it in the chat box. As Mario stated earlier, please avoid sharing any personal information such as addresses, such as merchant tokens or other confidential information. Just try to stay generic, to share your feedback or ask your questions, and then we're happy to pick that up during the session. If we look at product images, many sellers are not aware of how Amazon decides which images are displayed if several sellers or accounts provide images. So if we have several contributions from different sellers, Amazon will always select the images that meet the style guides and the standards. So for example, do they have a white background? Are there any additional watermarks included that are displayed? That is something which we don't approve. So those images would be suppressed, and then the contribution from another seller would be applied. So if you are not meeting the product image requirements, Amazon probably suppresses them and they won't be displayed in the store, and we pick the images from someone else. If you have uploaded issues and they are not displayed, always check the submission status. Then you get more information on the issue reason why images that you have been uploading are not displayed on the product detail page. They might be non-compliant, not meeting our product image requirements. And that is then the reason to troubleshoot, to optimize it, and to upload compliant images. In general, not only images are super relevant and can be displayed in the main image block, but also product videos. So we see on average that adding a video to the product detail page can help to uplift your sales by up to 10%. And the big benefit of videos compared to images is that a video can provide even more information about the product. So sound, size, functionality, those are all features that can be displayed perfectly in a video, but might not be transferable or might not be communicated accordingly in a product image. So that is a super nice win and adds and enriches the product detail page. And of course, if you have limited resources, how do you generate an image or a video? So that is sometimes very crucial. And I think one recommendation we can give is you can always collaborate with creators, Instagrammers, influencers that can generate high quality user generated content on your behalf that resonates with the target audience. So that could include authentic videos, authentic photos that are created by those influencers. And then you can create a contract with them, come to an alignment and use these videos for your product detail pages. So you can use it in the main images, you can upload it as a video, or you can also use it in your A+ content, of course.
There are 3 questions from the chat, Moritz. First would be, are you able to use a YouTube video for this?
A YouTube video?
Yes.
Let me just check the question. If the product already exists
one
on
above,
Amazon,
one above.
are you able to use a YouTube video
for videos? So in general, you should have the rights to use the video. So of course, it's preferable to use your own content or content for which you have an agreement that you're allowed to use it. So you cannot just take any content that is available on other video platforms and use it to improve your listing. So you need to comply with our terms and conditions that also include that you have to have the rights to use images, videos, and so on. And there's a second good question. If the product already exists on Amazon from another seller, is there a need for me to add images? It always depends if the listing has been created on your respective marketplace. In Europe, for example, we see that you can localize images depending on the very different countries in Europe. So you can have localized images for France, in Italian, in Spanish, in German, for the pictures that follow the main image, where you can add text elements as well. If we are able to take over images from the US, for example, because it's also the same language in your case, that should work and you don't need to add additional images. Of course, if the quality is not good and let's say there's only one image displayed, It's not a great customer experience. And if you have additional images, this enriches the listing and increases the probability to increase conversion rate, to reduce returns, and in general boost sales on such ASINs. If I use a video taken by myself, how can you verify that it's mine? I think that is a good question. Of course, we don't have any information of who's the owner of such content, but by uploading it, you confirm that you comply with the terms and conditions that include that you have to be the owner. And if someone flags that or reports the content, such as images and videos, Amazon is also very quick in taking them down. So I can only recommend to you only use compliant content that you've generated yourself, that you are the owner of, or for which you have an agreement that you are allowed to use it. So for example, you are a reseller for electronics product and you have an agreement with the company and access maybe to their media SharePoint, and you are allowed to use those videos to create or pictures to create a listing. Then it's fine if you have such an agreement and you are allowed to use those images or videos. Thanks a lot for the engaging question. This is really helpful. And let's continue with the bullet points. Also here, we always try to recommend our sellers to keep the information factual, descriptive, short and clear, and really highlight the core features and benefits of the product. So that could be the size, the color, the purpose of the product, and really use relevant keywords. You shouldn't add a lot of redundant terms again, just to make use of the space that you're having. But again, keep it short, crisp, and easy to read for the customer. It's super important that you don't use any subjective or time-sensitive comments, such as hot this year, great value, and never include any pricing or seller account-specific information in the bullet points. That could be promotional information, shipping information, because keep in mind that the product detail page is a generic description of the product itself, where several sellers can sell it, and for them they have to have the right or the same amount of information. So you cannot enter your specific shipping information that is set on your account. That is absolutely fine to list it there, but it's not allowed to add it to the bullet points or the product detail page in general. Amazon always tries to improve the customer experience and adds more information so that the customer can make a valid purchase decision. And we also see that in the bullet points, where Amazon has added additional bullet points in some categories. We see it here on the right side with the Lego Racer example. So those are information that are directly taken from Seller Central Catalog that sellers have contributed, and that gives even more information than the very let's say subjective or promotional description in the bullet points. That's why it's super important to provide as many details in your listing as you can. And you cannot remove it or hide those information. You can just edit those information if you see that the contribution is maybe incorrect or missing. So it really helps the customer make a good decision. In this case here, we see the number of pieces that this Lego Racer includes. And this can help the customer make a good decision how complex the product is, whether it's applicable and a good gift for children, or if it's rather for adults because it's quite complex. From the bullet points, we jump right into the A+ content and also have a great example from Lego. Adding A+ content is a real booster for your sales. If you don't have any A+ content and add so-called premium A+ content, you can have a positive impact on your sales by up to 20%. If you go from no content to basic content, you have an increase that you can realize between 7 to 8%. So it definitely makes sense also here to add further information that could be, as we can see here, further images of the product, how to use it, what the packaging or product includes. And this has not only a positive impact on sales, but also on the reduction of negative reviews, because you provide more information for the customer to have at hand before to make a good decision. It increases the discoverability because we have more information on the product itself. So this has a positive impact on your ranking, on your discoverability, and also it reduces returns because the customer knows what the product is used for, what they should know about it, and in general, if available and you don't have so many resources, you can also use the so-called brand story, which is a generic brand-related content that you can add to all your branded ASINs for one brand. And this makes sense, as I said, if you're facing some resource restrictions. We have one question from the chat. Can I list handmade products?
I can take this because I already work with a seller listing handmade products. So that is feasible. You can do this. You need to check the requirements for that. You can just look for Amazon handmade, and then there need to be certain requirements fulfilled, and then you can list handmade products. There's even should be a separate page for that. So yes, that's feasible.
And also as a disclaimer, our main background is Europe. So in Europe, you can definitely do it. You can do it on the US marketplace.
Yes.
For some features, we are still working on it to develop it and roll it out for the South African marketplace. So it might happen that you find some information that also could be for handmade products, that it is available across other marketplaces, but not yet in South Africa. But our teams are working hard on it to increase all the features and have service level parity across it and offer this as well. We pick up the question about the trademark. So I know that if you have a pending trademark registration, you should be able to already register the brand, and sometimes Amazon brand registry also supports it to speed up the process, let's say. So we are in close contact with the different patent offices in the very different countries. So that could happen. What I would always encourage you is to already use the right spelling of your brand name. So I wouldn't recommend to create it first with brand name A and then you switch to brand name B. That is something you really need to consider and have a unique brand name where you are sure that you can apply it, and you shouldn't use, let's say, Adidas 2 or Nike or Puma that are already taken. So that is crucial. And then there's a follow-up question on the videos. If the face is exposed, the video is going to be allowed. So regarding privacy regulations, I would be super careful and read the terms and conditions that apply to video upload and image upload, especially if you use models, for example, in your videos. You should always have that written and stated and confirmed in a contract that you are allowed to share videos. I know it from Germany. If faces are used in video clips, usually the brands have to pay more compared to if only body parts or hands are visible. So that is something you should really check. And for personality reasons and data confidentiality reasons, I would always recommend, if possible, not to share faces in such videos. Maybe to share one story from our sellers, I remember that there was a seller in our program who used his own, he shot his own videos for his products together with his former wife, and then they got divorced, and he tried to remove the images because he didn't want to have his wife still on the images. So that was a struggle he was facing. That's why it might be better not to show faces and use professional models for content generation instead of yourself as the owner of the brand. Super, we have one example for the so-called brand story. We have two examples from Samsung and Lego, one very playful, which resonates well with the Lego brand, one from Samsung, which is very clean and reduced and technical. So here they show the portfolio they are offering. And as I said, it's a super easy and efficient way to create additional content. You just have to create it once for your brand. and then you can roll it out and add it to all branded ASINs for respectively Samsung or Lego, where you want to have it displayed. It enriches the general content, it provides more information about your brand, and it also helps you to upsell or cross-sell because it shows the customer the entire portfolio that is available on Amazon.
I see there are a lot of questions in the chat right now, so maybe we just try to pick up the most relevant one also for catalog optimization and the easy ones. I see the question, what does sales rank mean? Sales rank is, in very easy words, based on the sales that your product generated. So the more sales it generated within the last week, 4 weeks, 1 day, etc., the higher the sales rank is.
Exactly, and it's displayed on ASIN level usually across different categories. So you can be the best seller in, let's say, sport equipments, yoga mats. Lego is probably a bestseller in toys. And this helps the customer have an understanding of how well the product is selling. And that information is also relevant for our sellers. So they know, for example, as a reseller, okay, this is a product that is really selling well in that respective category, and helps you in your decision what products to offer, and the customer to identify what products are successful on Amazon. One last question maybe on A+ content. The question is, I have my own brand. How do I add A+ content to this? So in Seller Central, you can just go to the, I think, advertising submenu on the left side, and then you have A+ content, and you can create A+ content for your own products. We have very different templates that you can use and to play around with. You just need to add the respective text and images, and then you can use, for example, some comparison tables where you compare your own products. Some other templates that are more text-based or more image-focused, where you can have additional images that might not be suitable for the general images in the main image block, but that are super helpful to or resonate with your brand, that highlight how of what high quality your product or brand is, and that provides the customer with more insights, how to use it, how to apply it, or just display it as a very high quality product or brand.
I think we need to go on.
Given the time, we will continue with the next topic, which is fulfillment. Of course, from a European perspective, it would be incorrect to know all the details about South African fulfillment that applies to your businesses on Amazon. That's why we want to focus here a bit on the basics and give a short overview on FBA and MFN, some best practices, and how to apply it in Q4. So we all know FBA is a good solution that we recommend all our sellers in the US, in Europe, to really grow their business. So you prepare the products, you ship it and inbound it to Amazon, to our FCs. We store it in the local FCs in South Africa. And once a customer buys those FBA listings, Amazon picks it, packs it, prepares it, forwards it to the carrier, and then it's passed on to the customer. So they receive it, and usually it's a great customer experience. In Europe, we are faster usually than self-ship, as you call it, or the merchant fulfilled network, which is the solution where the customer purchases a product. You yourself print the labels, you pick it and pack it in your own warehouse. You select your own carrier that you prefer to work with. They pick it up at your warehouse and then deliver it to the customer. And at the moment, of course, we are all resource restricted. There are additional costs that apply. And I think the FBA revenue calculator is a great tool that is integrated in Seller Central that allows you to compare the cost across different fulfillment channels. So you can compare easily FBA against your own fees that apply with your own selected carrier in your own warehouse. And it's super easy and convenient to use it for a single product or also for a large number of products. So you just search for the ASIN, you define the product size, You can enter the price and the shipping details if it's not already entered, and then you can easily compare the costs to make a valid decision which fulfillment channel is the better solution for you. And if you compare the fees and come to the solution that FBA is way cheaper for you and is a great solution to scale your business, because maybe your warehouse is too small, your carrier is not very reliant, so then FBA is a great solution that is a cost-effective and very professional opportunity for you to use. And to give you a short demo on the revenue calculator, we see here an example of a smartphone. On the left-hand side, you have all the pricing details that are already taken from Seller Central. You have the costs associated to it, and then you can add your own fulfillment costs on the second column, and then it easily, transparently compares the costs that are associated to selling and shipping your product either via FBA or your own self-shipped fulfillment channel. And talking about FBA in general, I think some golden rules for FBA shipments are always first check if your product is eligible to be stored in our warehouses. So for example, helium gas for balloons is something that we are not storing in our warehouses. It's too dangerous. So that is a product which would not fit to be sold via FBA. It's super important to always ensure that your listing is complete. Sometimes sellers already inbound and haven't prepared their listing. You all know from your own experience as an Amazon customer or a customer that browses on other e-commerce platforms, we want to have complete information to make a valid purchase decision. So if that is not the case, your goods will probably lie around and just cause storage fees. So always ensure a complete listing prior to inbounding to FBA. When you prepare your shipments, try to be thorough, label it carefully, follow the SOPs and guidelines that we provide, because otherwise it might take longer to inbound. And especially in Q4, since we have a lot of inflow, a lot of inbound shipments, try to inbound on time. So at least consider 2 weeks before your products are made available. For large deal events such as Prime Day or Black Friday, we even recommend to inbound 4 weeks prior to the event so that your products are made available and ready to be used for orders during those high traffic times.
Yes. Maybe we can pick up one question in the chat. I already have generic products I sell and plan to register my brand name. Am I going to be allowed to change my generic products to my brand name? Yes, you can do that, but I think Moritz already explained it would be a lot easier, or maybe you already did this if you have the same name in your products that you also plan for your brand, but it is feasible, yes.
Exactly, and if it already has a brand name, I think it's usually better to enter that brand name, but I know there's a great help page on how to list generic products, so check if those guidelines apply to your product. Then follow the recommendations, follow the steps how to list generic products. Otherwise, as said, I would recommend to focus and use your own brand as the brand name attribute. Do we use Amazon if orders are to be fulfilled by Amazon? I don't understand that question. Maybe the submitter can add some more details to clarify that question, and then we are happy to pick that up at a later stage. When will you allow oversized products into FBA? As said, we are always trying to add more features that are already available on other marketplaces, also to the South African marketplace. So this is a question of time where we don't have insights, but our teams, especially in South Africa, are working hard to really enable service level parity across the different features. We have solid rollout plans where we really make valid decisions when to introduce which feature, which benefits the most customers. So that's how we evaluate which component, which feature to add to the store. And I think it's just a matter of time until also oversized products are available for South African sellers to inbound to FBA.
think we need to go on with.
Yeah, so we go on. Thanks a lot for the questions. We are overwhelmed with your interest in this topic, and we will continue with the partner carrier program because it's a great opportunity to use this service to inbound faster at very competitive rates to FBA. So in general, it's an inbound transportation program for FBA sellers in South Africa to inbound into our Amazon fulfillment centers. There's minimum commitment necessary and really a low risk because we can guarantee tracking and insurance. So you have the visibility on your shipments. And I want to highlight this because there's currently a 90% discount on your FBA inbound shipment with the partner carrier program. Amazon partners in South Africa with the carrier 2Ship. And until end of year, you will get this 90% discount if you create the shipments with the partner carrier program and 2Ship. You find more information if you just search for partner carrier program in Seller Central South Africa. And also another great program. So the PCP program can be used also by resellers, and the FBA New Selection program focuses a bit more on brand owners, where we help sellers to introduce new products to Amazon by offering free storage and free removals. This means if your product that you are selling as a reseller is also new to Amazon, you might be also able to benefit from the benefits that the program offers. And it's really designed to reduce the initial costs and risk for sellers when launching new items on Amazon FBA, where you might not be fully aware of the demand. So we really encourage professional sellers to enroll in the program before inbounding their first new selection shipment. And then you have access to the FBA New Selection program dashboard, and it provides you with insights on the benefits, how much cost you have already saved. And some benefits, for example, are you receive free storage, free removal for standard size ASINs for the first 50 units. You receive free storage for clothing and shoes for even the first 100 units. And if you're also new to FBA, you receive a discount of up to 2,200 South African rand with the partner carrier program. So these two programs combined save you a lot of money if you're trying out FBA for the first time and adding new selection.
Maybe I can, in the meantime, pick up one question. I think it was, if I already have listed products, can I change them to handmade? Yes, you can do this. But again, there are certain requirements that need to be fulfilled to be listed, or that a product is allowed to be listed as handmade. So if your product fulfill those requirements, you can do this, yes.
And also consider that a handmade product has always a different ASIN. So it's not that you can switch and just add an additional SKU, as we can do on other marketplaces, for example, for used products that are listed under the same ASIN but have a different SKU. So this is relevant. So it's not like you can change it one day to the other. Then you need to create a new listing for handmade products. If we look at Merchant Fulfilled Network, or as you call it, self-ship, this is the area where you really own the whole logistics. So you manage and operate your own warehouse, you select the carrier, and then ship it to the end customer. And what is super important, especially during Q4, to check the valid tracking rates, check your handling time, that you pick the products in time, that the transit time is right with your sellers, and that you try to reduce returns by offering a great customer experience, sharing the right information for the tracking IDs and also on the product detail pages. And we all know that customers really value short and fast deliveries. So this always leads to higher sales if we reduce the so-called delivery time, or click to promise. And we display it in the so-called buy box, which we see here on the right side. And it's the expected time from when an order is created or placed to when it's delivered to the customer. And it's really important to provide accurate delivery times here, so the customer knows, okay, I will receive it in 2 or 3 or 4 days. And also it has a positive impact on the chance to win the buy box if you have a fast delivery promise. And usually the total delivery time is the handling time plus transit time plus holidays, where we add a buffer, for example, if there's a national holiday. So the handling time is the time, as already said, when you pick up the goods in your warehouse. So you might need 1 day to prepare it, and then you hand it over to your carrier. And that is the transit time or shipping time that it takes from the moment you hand over the parcel to the carrier to when it's delivered to the customer. And I think what is super interesting and what we see across very different sellers is that they usually overestimate the handling time. So they even overestimate it by 30%. And this creates a longer total time that the good is considered to be taken to the customer. And if you are able to reduce it by 2 to 1 day or even to 0 days, this really helps you to gain a competitive advantage over your competitors. It will increase the chance of winning the buy box. And of course, it's a great customer experience. So more customers will buy your products if you reduce it. And I want to shortly show you the Fulfillment Insight dashboard, which is available in Seller Central. And it shows you the promise gap, which is your promised delivery, what you've set and entered in Seller Central versus the actual delivery time. And we see that for many sellers, there's a huge difference. And the tool really shows and indicates whether it's the handling time that where the gap comes from or the total transit time. And it also highlights some very easy recommendations that you can follow to reduce it based on actual data. So we see that, for example, your handling time is on average over 2 days, but you only take less than a day. So it really makes sense to reduce the handling time to 1 day. And this will have a positive impact on the conversion rate and sales.
There's one question I can pick up. I registered as a professional seller, but now I have a registered business. Is it necessary to change? So if your business information changed, I would also add and change this within Seller Central. This is a verification process that also can take some time, so be aware of that. So I would always do that as early as possible. And the data within Seller Central need to be exactly the same as officially registered. So even like if one small thing is different, this can already lead to problems. So be very precise here.
Exactly. But if it relates to your account settings, this per se doesn't change. You will stay as a professional seller with that model. But as Mario said, the KYC process might need to be updated and your account verification need to be verified. For the report, just search for the Fulfillment Insight dashboard term, and then you'll find it. It's linked on the help pages. I think it's not yet available as a direct submenu in the South African Seller Central console, but you can easily search for the dashboard name, Fulfillment Insights dashboard, and then you will find the direct link to it. Given the time, we will close the MFN best practices with a short information on where to change your handling time. This applies to the entire product catalog. So to your entire account, you can also set individual handling times on ASIN level. Let's assume you have one product that is more complex to prepare for shipping. So you can add a 2-day handling time, for example, instead of 1 day that you have set for your account, or the other way around. There, usually you need to take 2 days, but for one product, you have a shorter delivery time. So you can set that on ASIN level as well if you click on Edit Listing. Super important is also you can set a daily order handling capacity. So if you know that your warehouse is able to manage 100 orders a day, you can set that as a limit. And for orders that are coming in above 100, then additional or longer delivery times, so plus 1 day is stated, so that the customer really knows, okay, I don't have to expect it to be shipped in 2 or 3 days, it's then 3 or 4 days. And by this, you can really prevent that you violate Amazon's late shipment rate, for example. So the customer gets a precise and exact delivery promise. And it also helps you to manage sales peaks, which we experience in Q4. So whether they are expected or unexpected, This really helps you to manage your warehouse capacity better. So in this example here, the warehouse owner, the Amazon seller, is maybe able to handle 80 orders per day. And for the 81st order, the delivery promise will change and includes the handling time of not only 1 day, but 2 days.
Okay. Perfect. Then I will take over. But first of all, I saw there is a good question in the chat. I listed a product the other day, and I am currently the only person in South Africa that is selling this product. It is a branded item, but no one else has it available. However, I am not listed as the featured offer. Do you know why that this might be the case? So first of all, good question. And even though you are maybe the only person or the only seller selling this product, this doesn't automatically qualify you to be in the buy box, to be shown in the buy box. There can be several reasons. It could be, for example, price, because we also compare prices to external pages. It can be also what Moritz just explained, I think the delivery, if it's too long. So there can be different reasons, but you are not qualified for the buy box just because you are the only one selling it. I hope this answers the question. Now, promotion. First of all, I have a question to all of you, and I hope to see a lot of thumbs up in the chat. Please send a thumbs up if you already had deals running or if you are planning to run deals in Q4. Would be nice to see also from the audience what you're doing. And then, Moritz, we can jump to the next slide. I already see one first. Nice. So I see many deals are coming. That's great. Why should you run deals? First of all, you can really benefit from Amazon's marketing efforts. So I think you also maybe see it read it in the media, hear it in the radio, especially in Q4 when we have the Black Friday, Cyber Monday week. Amazon is driving a lot of traffic to our own page. So without you having your own advertising campaign, spending money for it, you can benefit from the advertising and marketing efforts that Amazon is driving. Of course, increased sales. I mean, this is definitely the clear short-term win. If you run a promotion, customers are more likely to buy your product, which means increased sales. But this is only one part. It also can lead, or it will also lead to improved discoverability. I think there was the question in the chat about the sales rank. Of course, the higher the sales rank, the easier you are discovered. And by having promotions and by having through that more sales, it also leads to an improved discoverability. So there are a lot of benefits that you can have from running deals. And of course, you're also highlighted, or your products are highlighted in the search results. If you run deals, if you bring promotions to your customers, this helps to be highlighted in the search results. Great. Let me check.
There was the question whether the meeting is recorded or shared. So also verbally, we won't share the slides or the recording directly with you, but the recording will be made available on YouTube afterwards.
Yes. I see the question, if product have no sales rank, what does that mean? I am not 100% sure. I can just imagine it had no sales yet. But
also for some categories, sales ranks are not available. So that could also be a reason. That's why we recommend to open a case to seller support, and then they can engage with you and follow up on that topic. There's also a question, how do I participate in the deals? Is it a sponsored event?
We can show that in a second. I think we come to the slide that shows more about the deals. Exactly. So first of all, maybe which explains it a bit better, we have different deal types. So there is the lightning deal. It's a self-service deal. What we call self-service deal is when you on your own go into Seller Central. I think it's also in the advertising and promotional deals, and can run a deal on your own for your products. Of course, those products need to be shown and need to be eligible for a deal. A lightning deal is always time-bound, so usually 4 to 12 hours on the Amazon Deals page. And again, as mentioned here, it helps you to increase sales and can be also an effective way to reduce your inventory. The next one is the best deal. It's a deal that it features an item that can run up to 7 days. And also, of course, helps to increase sales. And we really recommend, we will also show this on the next slide, to run best deals for your top selling ASINs, for your top selling products. And then we have the voucher. vouchers are very popular also in Germany on the European marketplaces because they are easy to set up. They have not so, let's say, high requirements as maybe a best deal or lightning deal. So vouchers always a good or easy way to start with a few promotions to give maybe a small discount on your products, and it's very easy to set up. Yes, and there you can, for example, see different types of deals here on the right, and below you see a limited time deal also for this Lego product. You see on the top also the percentage that are off, and of course this attracts customers. I mean, always what we always tell our sellers, try to think from the perspective of a customer. If you would look at the page, at the product, of course, if you see there's a big discount on a product, you're more likely to buy this product, and this will help to convert. There's a question, where do you set up these deals on products? Again, it should be in Seller Central, in the Seller Central console. On the left, you can go to advertising, and then there should be a second field called deals. And there you go in, and then you see if some of your products are eligible for either lightning or best deals.
And also for periods outside of deal events or deal events, because not every seller is eligible to run deals during events in South Africa. So please check the help pages on deal requirements, and then you know if your account qualifies, your individual account. If this is not the case, we will also have some guidance which deal types you can use already. And I think this is the next slide.
Yes, exactly. If you can switch. First of all, speaking a bit more from a strategic point of view, what do we recommend as a strategy? Always start as early as possible to plan your deals. Maybe even sometimes with sellers, we planned it for the whole year. You know, or we know when the events are coming: Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Prime Day. So try to be strategic here, plan already ahead, and then you can conduct an ABC analysis. How can you do that? I think Moritz already shared it in advance. You can go in Seller Central. You have the business reports that contain a lot of information that helps you to identify the right products for the right deal type. First of all, what do we recommend? Top selling ASINs, also what we call A products. So the products with the most sales, the top products, we recommend you to run them as best deals, so up to 7 days. The medium selling ASINs, the B products, we would use lightning deals, maybe create a kind of fear of missing out on that product. It's only running a few hours. Clear your inventory. So for that, we recommend lightning deals. And for low selling ASINs, or really ASINs with low margins, where you maybe also only can give a very small discount, but you want to do something to increase sales, we would definitely recommend to use vouchers. Yeah, and of course, always watch out for eligible product categories. For example, I know that sexual well-being products are not allowed for promotions or deals, so also check the product category. All right, then we come to the next slide. Before creating your deal, and now we also come a little bit why we build up the whole presentation with catalog optimization, with fulfillment, and now we add promotion. Content is always the key. So have a rich product detail page, that you have 5 bullet points, that your title is good, that you have the right information on the product detail page, because it would be really a pity if you bring customers on your detail page, they see a promotion, but they don't buy because the content is not good. Then, of course, also watch out for seasonality. There's always an optimal time of a year to sell to customers. I mean, a very easy example is, of course, an advent calendar or Christmas calendar that many people now buy in end of October, November as a present. So the seasonality is always important. You could also include this, of course, in your overall deal strategy. And pricing. I mean, pricing in the end, it is up to you. It is based, of course, also on your margin. But as we explained, or as I explained in the slide before, try to have also a strategy for which products you want to use which deal type. As we said, for example, A products, so really your top products, best-selling ASINs, I would always recommend to use a best deal. All right. Then to get the most out of your deals, always try to monitor the status. So you can check upcoming deals from the deals dashboard. You can check in the business reports in Seller Central how they are performing on a daily basis. So try to monitor this. If something gets suppressed, if an ASIN gets suppressed, if a deal gets suppressed, try to troubleshoot, try to escalate via a case. This also helps to get the most out of your deals.
And I think what is super important, avoid making any changes to your ASIN prior to the deal. That can be any changes on the product detail page listing, changing the prices heavily. So this might negatively impact the deal itself and can lead to a suppression. So for example, let's say you have a discount price aligned and then you reduce the price even further prior to the deal. So that might suppress the deal because you don't meet the pricing related requirements anymore.
Exactly. Next. Great. Then we're already done with promotion. If any questions, please add it into the chat, and then we would go on with advertising.
Exactly. So our agenda today of today's webinar follows the flow of, first we need to create and optimize our listing. That's what we've done in catalog optimization with very different levers. Then we looked into fulfillment. So how do we ship the products from your warehouse, from Amazon warehouses to the customer in the end? Now we've covered how do we price and offer promotions on our products. So how do we provide our customers with attractive deals, attractive prices that wow them? And now we come into the topic where we have a great listing, we have a great fulfillment solution, we have awesome prices, and now we want to increase the visibility to even boost all these features that we have enabled. And that's why we are looking into the topic of advertising, which comes at a very different slide deck, because it's a very different topic, and that's why we really want to pay tribute to that. First, what are the main effects of advertising your products on Amazon? You are able to reach way more customers. So maybe your products are listed on the second or third search page for relevant keywords. Probably no customer will find it. So using Amazon advertising solutions, for example, sponsored products, could be the right idea to reach more customers. Of course, you can also build brand awareness. Customers are aware of your products. They stay top of mind, and they know this is a great brand. This is a great product that will meet my customer needs or requirements that I have. And that's why I want to buy it and want to keep buying it also. Of course, it will increase traffic because it will increase the visibility of your product, so customers see it more often. It has a better placement, and they click on it to engage with your listing. Of course, it can also improve customer loyalty, so you reconnect with customers that have already bought a product from your brand, and maybe there's a product that fits well, a replacement, an addition, so that customers realize that they also need to continue buying from your brand. And this all in the end stimulates, of course, or channels into your sales figures. So usually adding more advertising and traffic to your listings will also increase sales. I think this is one of the most overwhelming and surprising statistics. For 63% of all shoppers, the journey begins online, where they browse and search for products they want to buy. And 61% of customers start their search on Amazon. So in the past, you always started Googling for stuff. It became a phrase. Now we should rephrase it and name it to Amazon and search for stuff on Amazon. So if your product is not listed on Amazon, people don't know that it exists. So this is the first place to start the purchase journey, and that's why you should be present and visible on Amazon as well. Here we have some screenshots from the different placements of advertising on Amazon. So we see next to the number one bubble, the so-called sponsored products advertising solution. Here, It's a solution to really engage with the customer. You can add up to 3 products. You can add brands. You can add a short call to action text. And what is super interesting for Q4, if you add deals or products that are on promotion, it also shows the red visible tag that those are products on promotion. So you can increase the visibility and highlight those products even in such a sponsored products campaign, which is available to both brand owners and also so-called authorized resellers. Then that is in first place to engage with customers. If you really want to highlight a specific product for their needs for the respective search term, you can use the so-called sponsored products, which highlight the product that you have added to an active campaign on top of the search results. So, for example, your product is not yet selling well, it's not on top of the search results, then you can create a sponsored products campaign to really show it top of the search to your customers. So you can decide on the relevant setup, you can identify relevant keywords, and then it gets displayed if you win the bids for it. Apart from that, we have 2 other super interesting solutions, which is called sponsored display on the left side. It's an opportunity to engage with the customer, to highlight it again and again. Here we have, I think, a Boss fragrance, and next to the bubble number 4, we see the so-called sponsored brands video. I think it's a super interesting advertising product where you can create a video for your product, and it's displayed within the search results. So if the customer is scrolling through it, it gets displayed, it creates attraction, the customer realizes it because it has a different effect, and they engage with your video content. You don't have to pay unless the customer clicks on it. So that is also a very interesting opportunity to engage with your customers and sellers, with your customers if you are a brand owner.
And maybe one more interesting comment, especially to the sponsored display ad on the left with the number 3, you can see that is a whole different product from what was searched here. So I think here it was searched for monitors, but you can really use also sponsored display ads to like disrupt in a different or go into a different category where people are searching for something completely else, but you can show your product. So that's also interesting about sponsored display ads.
Exactly, a good example. Or for example, if the actual search term is yoga mats, and you know that a lot of female customers are searching for those search terms, you could add a female fragrance, and it has a totally different effect because you don't expect it, and creates a different reception from the customer. We see those very different advertising product types. We talked about the display of sponsored products that can really help promote individual ASINs products to shoppers that are actively searching for relevant search terms. That could be, as Mario said, monitor, that could be a brand name with the term monitor, that could be monitor with a certain size, and then it gets displayed if it finds the relevant target keywords. We talked also about sponsored brands, which are displayed on top. Here, the focus is rather on the entire brand instead of just single ASINs. Of course, the so-called hero or bestseller ASINs should always be included in such a sponsored brand campaign. So you can make or add up to 3 ASINs per campaign to be displayed. And what is super interesting here, you are able to track new to brand metrics. So it shows you how many customers that clicked on the sponsored brands campaign are totally new to your brand. So you really have the right KPIs to identify if you're reaching new customers.
There's a question in the chat. I would just start with one. Can you, I think, explain on how the budget works on the ads? So very easily explained, it's always cost per click. That means, for example, you bid for a keyword or you have a keyword which costs a certain amount of money. And if a person then, by searching on this keyword, clicks on your ad and comes to your product detail page, you have to pay for this. So it's always cost per click.
Exactly. And in the advertising console, you can set a fixed budget on a daily basis. So let's assume you add $50 to it. And then if those $50 are reached on a daily basis, no more additional campaigns will be visible. So you don't have to pay for it. I think it's a good let's say, safety or security mechanism that you really are able to control your advertising spend. And by this, you know how efficient you are, and you can test it with a smaller amount, and then you increase it if you see that it helps you increase your sales or brings in new customers.
So that perfectly explains the second question. Do I need to have cash upfront to create an advertising campaign? As Moritz said, somehow yes, because you give a certain budget, but this helps also that you know that you cannot come above that budget.
Okay, let's continue
Yeah.
and maybe pick up some questions in the end when we have time for a Q&A session. I think what is super important also during Q4 is the interplay between sponsored ads and deals in general. So you can really drive visibility during Q4 for your promoted items, for your products on deal. So on one hand, we all know that also the sponsored products contain the deal badging during deal events. So we've seen it earlier, the red tag with limited promotion or limited deal. So this really helps you to drive visibility and increase discoverability from customers. We already talked about the sponsored brands feature, where you can add up to 3 ASINs, where the deal badge is also visible if you add an ASIN on a promotion, and also sponsored display solutions include the deal badging. So this is super helpful for the interplay between deals and advertising to really maximize your success during Q4 and during Q4 deal events. Of course, if a product is out of stock, Amazon will never advertise it. So that is one requirement for the advertising campaign to run, to have on one hand available stock, and on the other hand to win the buy box. And I think this brings us to the proposed strategy first, and then some questions on advertising. We really suggest you to, if you plan an advertising strategy for Q4, specifically for Q4 events, that during the lead up to the event, use sponsored brands, use sponsored display videos to really increase awareness for your brand, that customers are aware that it exists, that you have great products that you are offering, and they actively search for it then during the event. When we are at the event itself, so let's take Black Friday week, still rely on sponsored brands, but also try to increase other solutions to be on top of the search for relevant keywords. So we use sponsored product campaigns for your branded and promoted items, so that customers that search really find your products. We experience very high traffic increases during deal events, so whether it's Prime Day or Black Friday week. So really make sure that your campaigns are running. You might be able also, or you should increase the budget for your campaigns, because we have higher traffic. So it would be a pity if your campaign is already deactivated at 11 in the morning because your budget is already spent, although you have the full day of traffic and interested customers that are willing to spend money on your products. And of course, after the event, it's time to engage with the customers. Brand tailored promotions are not yet available in South Africa, but of course you can use still sponsored brands to re-engage with the customer that have purchased during the event, highlight other products that are now available on deal maybe, or that are interesting for them, that are used as accessories or similar products, and then you can make the best out of it prior to an event and after an event. And I think here are some quick tips and tricks to convince you as a seller to run advertising campaigns. So first, how do you identify which ASINs to run? I think it makes absolutely sense to start with at least 5 ASINs per advertising campaign. Search for top sellers that have already great content that you want to advertise and where you have enough stock to boost sales. There are features to automate your campaigns, so you don't have to look into it. You can set budget rules, as I explained before. You can set your targets, so you can really automate your campaign and you don't have to spend much time on it. And I think what is super relevant, also resellers can run advertising campaigns. You only have to be the featured offer and then
Yes.
your advertising campaign, whether it's usually a sponsored products campaign, will go live. If you don't win the buy box, it will never be displayed. So it will continuously update this information, and then your advertising campaign will be displayed. And last but not least, I think we highlighted it before, if you are only displayed on the second or third page of the search results, probably no customer will scroll through it and see and find your product. So you really have to make sure to be on the first page, maybe even the first half of the search results, to be visible and to be discovered by interested customers. So if you're not able to rank high organically, you can use the displayed advertising solutions to be top of the search. And as we have the statistics here, 74% of our customers never click past the first page. So always have your own customer behavior in mind when optimizing your own products, your own listings, or thinking about applying advertising strategies.
Perfect. Thanks, Moritz, for diving deep into advertising. I just pick up quickly one question, and then we come to last point for today, performance monitoring. Do I have to pay anything to be an Amazon seller? So I remember that there is a fee for setting up an official seller central account. I think in Europe it was something like $40 a year. But please check in detail. I think there is a fee for setting up the official seller central account, but I do not know exactly how much it is for the South African seller central account. All right, then we had catalog optimization. We looked at fulfillment, promotion, advertising. Now, again, the end is performance monitoring to monitor what's going on, what's the status quo. So we just jump in right in the next slide. First of all, the account health. You all know the account health. It is super important. I think I also saw one question mentioning the 200 points. What we just want to tell you here, that it is really crucial that you regularly monitor your account health. I always recommended my sellers that I work with to check it on a daily basis. Monitor your account health dashboard. You can go into account health and then see the dashboard and already have the most relevant information displayed on one page. Then also check the performance notifications. It's something that my sellers sometimes did not regularly. It's also on the left, I think also under account health, but it's also on the left in the seller central dashboard. You will see performance notifications. I would also, under performance, exactly. I would also check this really on a daily basis because you will receive relevant information, relevant notifications in there. And of course, you have your case library with ongoing cases, ongoing issues where it might be needed that you answer maybe, or there's a follow-up questions that need to be answered. So the key message here is try to monitor as much as possible your account health, including the performance notifications and the case library, because it is important that you keep your privileges to sell on Amazon and ensure business continuity on the marketplace. Fix your products. Moritz, I think you're the expert here.
Yes, we want to do a short demonstration of the Fix Your Products tool, which is super important during Q4. It shows you the suppressed or inactive listings of your Amazon account that are no longer available. It's if you navigate to inventory, manage all inventory, and then click on search suppressed and inactive listings. It will show you on one hand the incomplete listings. So let's assume you are creating new listings and there are some information missing that you want to add later to the catalog, but those are mandatory information, so they will pop up here under the incomplete listings. And then there's a second bucket for completed listings with issues. So let's assume you're violating a product requirement rule. And then, of course, they are listed here. You've uploaded incompliant or non-compliant images. And of course, they are also listed here. And it's a super convenient, transparent overview that shows you the number of inactive listings, search suppressed listings, or listings that are at risk of being deactivated. You can search for your SKUs. You can search for your ASINs to find the right products, to identify if, let's say, relevant products are affected that are usually selling well. And then It shows you the reason and the issue description and next steps, how to overcome this issue or how to unsuppress those products. And as we have talked about it earlier, inactive listings are those that are out of stock. So maybe you are also not aware that they are out of stock because there was such a high demand. So of course, the recommendation is to add stock to those listings. But it can also be that there's an Amazon policy violation, pricing violations, for example, that affect the activity status of the listing. For search suppressed ASINs, usually they are missing mandatory attributes that could be size or color. A main image is missing, or it contains a non-white background. The title is longer. We talked about that right at the beginning of the webinar. And also in the third category, there are listings shown that are at risk of being deactivated. So for example, there are relevant information missing in the product name. So we are highlighting that those products are about to be blocked or search suppressed if you don't take actions. So it's a preventive mechanism. And if you take those actions, you can avoid ASINs from being deactivated or search suppressed.
Yep. Yes, then also again, performance monitoring. I think we already looked at it during the promotion part, but I can always recommend to really dive deep into the business reports that you find in Seller Central under reports, business reports. You have a lot of information there. You can check the conversion rate. You can also monitor the sales during deal events. You can also maybe find out if something is out of stock because there are no sales. So that's really, really a super nice tool within Seller Central that's easy to access and contains a lot of relevant information. You can also in there make your own view, so you can select which data you want to see, which data you don't want to see. And main key messages here, dive deep into that business report. It can be super helpful for your for monitoring your performance.
And if you realize that a deal that you've scheduled is not running well, maybe the discount was too low, you can add a voucher on top so that it adds on, it provides additional savings to the customer, and that can then have a positive impact on the deal performance itself.
Exactly.
When we look at advertising, of course, it's super relevant to check the report section in your advertising console. That is not included in Seller Central, but we have a different console because of all the features and opportunities that it offers. Check if your keywords are performing well. You might also use it as negative keywords, so terms that you don't want to use your product to be displayed. Maybe there's a comparable product from a very different or product name from a very different product category, and you don't want your products to be displayed for this very similar term. So then it helps you to take it down as a negative keyword, so your campaigns are not displayed for this negative keyword. Also, always consider your campaign budget, especially in Q4. It's super important to consider increasing it a bit due to the higher traffic that we are usually experiencing during Prime Day, during Black Friday or Cyber Monday week. When we look at fulfillment, you should always make sure that you have enough stock on your products, whether it's FBA or MFN/self-ship. You can set replenishment alerts on ASIN level so that Seller Central notifies you when the stock is below a certain number of units. In other marketplaces, we have additional performance indicators such as the capacity monitor or the inventory performance indicator. Those also help to keep track of your fulfillment performance. Also, what we recommend our European sellers is to consider creating backup offers, for example, using self-ship fulfillment channels if the FBA listing faces any issues, for example, a longer inbound time during peak season. So that can also help you to maintain and keep orders coming in. Last but not least, if there are any suppressed ASINs, it's especially important for FBA inventory to be tackled and consider troubleshooting, because otherwise you would pay money for the inventory costs, but your products are not selling because they are stranded, they are suppressed, So that's requires additional focus. There's one question on this: how is it possible to list the FBM and FBA offer simultaneously? So if you have one listing, you can copy it for a different fulfillment channel. So you can create it as a self-ship or MFN offer that is allowed and suitable. It's just the same ASIN, so that is no problem. You can set different pricing for that if you have a different pricing structure for the different fulfillment channel, for example. And then you can list it as well with your, for example, own stock that you have in your warehouse. So let's say once you run out of your FBA stock, you're not aware of it, you have to create an inbound shipment, but that might take 2 weeks. So then you have an MFN backup offer if your warehouse is able to send out single units as well.
Exactly, but good question. Yeah, then we are already at the end. First of all, I want to thank you for attending the session, for being so interactive, asking so many questions. We have a few more minutes to answer last questions, but also I want to mention that there will be a survey after closing this webinar. It would be super helpful for Moritz and me, of course, but also for the whole team if we can get your feedback within the survey to understand if this was helpful for you, if we should have more webinars like this. So please take the few minutes afterwards to fill in the survey. So now looking at the last question, I see there's a question on, you said a video of the sessions will be available on YouTube. Will that be on Amazon Seller University? I know Kelly is in here, who is also supporting us a lot on those technical and admin stuff. Kelly, can you maybe answer this? Is Kelly here? No, she's not. She's not. Oh, she's
Hello,
in the call.
everyone.
Now we can hear you, Kelly.
Hi there. I'm so. Would you mind repeating that question again?
The question is if a video of the session will be available on YouTube and also in the Amazon Seller University South Africa.
100%. That is correct for those who are participating. I just wanted to let you know, we just after this, we'll inform all sellers once it is available, and you can check it out within the course of the week. So by next week, it should be available.
Great. Thanks for answering.
It's a pleasure.
If there are no more questions, thanks a lot from Moritz and me for attending today. We hope that we could support you, that we could make you ready for Q4 and answer most of your questions. And I would say then we just wish you a successful Q4 and many sales on the South African Amazon marketplace.
Exactly. Thanks a lot also from my side. We hope we could transport a bit of our Amazon knowledge, expertise, and excitement to you, whether you are already an existing seller or a new seller thinking about offering your products on Amazon. So we hope to see your products on all the very different marketplaces across the world, and wish you all the best for your Amazon business and also during Q4. Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
Bye.